What is happening? This is the Try Not to Laugh podcast. I am Brandon, and with me until I lose him in a crazy bet in an underground Chinese gambling parlor is...
Greetings, this is Andy.
And we are two lifelong buddies trying to navigate this crazy world through comedy that was extremely... how do I put it? You were just out there. You're ready for it this
I'm
time.
excited. I haven't said that in like 2 or 3 weeks because of all the issues, vacations, and power outages. So I'm just happy to be here.
So irresponsible, I feel like. If I lost you in an actual bet in a Chinese gambling parlor, that would be really irresponsible of me. Fun, but irresponsible. In this day and age, there's too much responsibility, Andy. There's too much going on. And we've got all types of responsibility. It never ends. We've got our work and parenting and school and spouses. And the question is, what do we make of all this responsibility? And to me, my work situation, why do we do it? Do we do it just to make money, or is it an extension of who we are?
Very few people actually get to do what they love. Like you said, I think it's about the money. Most people don't get to live out their dreams and, do anything amazing that they can capitalize on. It's always just about, is this enough to pay the rent? Is this enough to pay my cell phone bill for the month? Or is this enough to feed my kids? I don't think most people are happy with what they're doing.
People say that. They always say to feed my kids. It's always the standard. But how much food do these kids need? We don't need to fatten them up, and these kids are fat as is.
Yeah, what if we just come up with like a bare minimum diet for kids?
That's what we do. We go bare bones. This is all we need, guys. All right? You're sitting at the dinner table. It's like Jack and the Beanstalk. You see that one little bean right in the center plate?
Cutting the bread paper thin.
Yep. You should always try and find what you want to do with your life. But it really is all about money at the end of the day. It always is. I guess always will be. I was in the same industry for over a decade, and I knew that it pretty much wasn't what I wanted to do with my life, but I did it, and I made money, and we lived in a house, and we had stuff, and we went on vacations, and I thought, to do that, you have to do that.
Yes and no. I mean, I kind of agree with it. I was in the same situation where I was doing something that I wasn't necessarily thrilled with, but the money was good, and we were living very comfortably.
Well, but porn is a good thing, and
when you have a tits like mine, you'll do well in life. Having a job that you can tolerate so that you can put food on the table, that is not the way to live. And that's something that I try to instill in my kids, that, figure out what you really, really love to do, and then maybe finding the road to success is the hardest part of it all. Finding what you love, I don't think should be that hard. That's really just exploring yourself and figuring out what you're good at, or even if you're not that great at it, you'll become good at it over time. Put in your 10,000 hours.
But taking that leap, you want to be an artist, a guitar player, but that it is hard, like your duty to, I guess, your family, or even, gets in the way of your true happiness at the end of the day, because what's your loyalty to? Is it to making sure that everyone is fed, or is it to your own satisfaction within? I mean, I think we've all struggled with that our whole entire life, to take that leap of faith. Like we all have. There are things that I'd rather be, although I like what I do, actually, but
finding something that you really love and being able to make a livable wage doing it, the odds of doing that are probably equal to winning the lottery. That is essentially winning the lottery.
I guess you're right, because in theory, if someone wants to be an NFL player, let's say you and I really wanted to be in the NFL, like we wanted it so bad. We're like, it's the only thing I want to do. There's no way you and I could be in the NFL.
It's not going to happen. I mean,
so at what point do you give up on that dream? And that's like, is that what people do? Do they try for so many years for that dream, and then they're like, all right, well, like, it's not going to happen. So now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with myself.
That's also part of the issue with not really knowing what you want to do in life until you get older, and you end up just kind of learning a trade or learning something on the job. And then you just kind of settle mostly for mediocrity.
Well, that's funny, because think about this, right? You wake up and you go to school every day for a large part of your young life. But then by the time that you are 17 years old, you have to understand what you want to do for the rest of your life, in theory. But do you remember what you were like at 17? Like, how could you make that decision?
I had interests. I definitely had interests. And to be honest, I think that a lot of the interests I had then, if they had panned out into careers now, whether they were like music related or art related, and I were making the same amount of money, I'd be super happy. I mean, I actually do, like you, I love what I do. I'm really happy with what I do. It's just that it doesn't involve art or music, but it's cool. I'm not one who has to wake up every morning and drag himself out of bed and be like, oh, time to make the donuts, but I mean, if I could take a pay cut and only make 7 figures doing this, I would do it.
A pay cut. A pay cut. Exactly. I mean, think about what I'd have to lose out on, Andy. I'd lose out on my skyscraper home. I'd lose out on going on tour with rockin' bitches, right? I mean,
bitches.
Oh wait,
using the term "rocking bitches."
I mean, I feel like that term translates, does it not, folks? I mean, let me in if it doesn't. But I think the reason at the end of the day why we don't do what we're doing, it's because we're parents with responsibilities. If you don't get to do what you're doing by the time you have your first kid, I feel like then it drops off big time, because now your perspective changes. It's a whole different ballgame.
There's people who take on that responsibility, and then there's the people who don't. I always thought it was interesting, like the dads who go out for a pack of smokes and never come back versus the dads who quit smoking and they...
What is this, 1952? Let me go to the corner store and get a pack of cigarettes.
Let me go to the corner store and find some rocking bitches.
As a parent, I'm trying to position my kids to not be like that, to actually understand what it's like to speak with people, have conversations, be in front of them. And then because of what you were just saying, is this potentially the worst generation? Are we doing our kids a huge injustice?
So in the past maybe 10 years, I've noticed more and more people staring at their phones, less social interactions. Even if you're in the same room, you'll send a text or a photo or a meme. You're like, oh, this is funny. I'm going to send this to so-and-so. And then you look at each other across the room. You're like,
what are you, a 13-year-old girl?
But then everything else just gets pawned off on the internet, really.
The internet does everything. It watches our kids. It gives us entertainment. It gives us information. It gives us a way out of reality. Listen, I say we just go Ready Player One. It's all about how you can enter this world. And you put on these glasses and you enter what's called the Oasis. And you could be anything you want, do anything you want, all from the comfort of like your own little area. You can feel anything. You can be anything. That's what I say that all of us are going to end up being. I told you, we're going to be a mix of Wall-E, Surrogates. Have you ever seen the movie Surrogates? Surrogates is you put yourself in this odd-shaped type of suit, and again, you get away from life. And then this movie, Ready Player One, is you could be an avatar, be anyone you want in this place called the Oasis. So obviously, I have a fascination with getting away from reality, obviously.
I think we can all use an escape, and the Ready Player One thing sounds awesome. Like, it's great that, it's cool that like we are approaching this point in history where we're able to fuck with our own reality or alter our day-to-day in that way, where like instead of just going to the store to be entertained, just walking around Walmart aimlessly, now you just put on this headset and all of a sudden, you're having
and then still walk around Walmart aimlessly. Can you imagine someone chooses that?
I probably would choose that. But I would do way cooler things in that Walmart.
So sad.
No, but instead of just walking around and just being
wreck Walmart, would you just take a bat, like a virtual bat, and just wreck everything?
Yes, exactly.
How cool would that be? A flamethrower? I get the pack on. I'm like, what do you think? Is it watch a basketball hoop just dry up?
I would go into like random stores and throw grenades in there and just watch it explode.
Gotta go to Moe's. See, and that would take away from the monotony of the day, which makes me gag right now. It really does. I mean,
would you even be able to live in a normal reality though after experiencing that? Like if every day you woke up, you had your breakfast, you put on your headset, and then you just went around like anywhere in the world, just raping and pillaging, and for hours.
Why did you automatically go to that?
Actually, that's me. And then you take off your goggles and you're like, time to go to work. Like, how do you even separate the two worlds at that point? What a mind fuck.
You wouldn't want to. You definitely wouldn't be able to.
I don't just live like that. That's it.
Yeah. I would just then I go back to the fact that I would just be like 400 pounds, wouldn't move, sweatpants, just sitting there all day and But then again, how could you afford it? How would you be able to afford the electricity for this machine then? So you still have to work. You would come back to work. Responsibility.
Could you enter this alternate reality and work your dream job?
Yes.
Still maintain your responsibilities, but now you're doing it through the eyes of this other character that you've created.
Well, this is what you do. You got to have Bezos and the Amazon team create this because they're the only ones with the capital and the fortitude to be able to do this, and they could build this out. Wouldn't everyone collectively get stupider, or would you get smarter because now you're going around the world and
imagine like the last few months how this joke of a school system played out, right? Now imagine this alternate universe where you just put on these goggles, go to school, be social, play with your friends, go to class. But you haven't moved an inch.
But you're doing it virtually.
Yeah, like it's virtual learning, but it's really virtual learning.
We're going to take a class trip to Nova Scotia, and we're going to learn about, I don't know, centipedes. I don't know, whatever it could be.
Nova Scotian centipedes. Yeah, it's a very popular subject.
All my jokes are just Mad Libs. I just try and take different words and put them two together. And
do we rape the centipedes? That's what I want to know.
But that's not a bad idea. Maybe that's how we get around with, because this new school situation, I told you this, I'm not sending my kids to school. They're doing digital learning. In real life, you would want to open your eyes and feel and do. But what if this type of thing could actually be so immersive that you really do feel like you're in this world? I don't personally think that you could ever create something that makes you feel like you're in a world so much that you wouldn't know you have goggles on. And
100 years from now, they turn these things into like contact lenses, so you're not even wearing a headset, and the VR becomes so real because maybe it's all just images taken from Google Earth. And
I mean, look, right now, I know we're on this subject, but this is my Samsung VR, and it's pretty cool.
What are all those stains all over it, Brandon?
Well, and let's be honest, if we're all using VR, we know what we're using it for.
Right. But imagine that experience where like everything is so realistic. They've now mastered the VR. They've gotten all the imagery they need, so like you're really in the room. Or if you want to create a room, you go in there with a 360 camera. It takes a photo of everything, and now you've got your room, and you can walk around in it.
It's cool. I'd want to do it some of the time, but I wouldn't want to not be in reality. And it's one of those things. Even with school, like
we could create virtual bullies.
I would like that. I would like you could do it from different decades, like 50s, like greasers, or you could do like the old school like 60s with the leather jacket guy, like move over, pics, please. Hey, pencil neck.
Imagine you create your own school experience, so you can mix like 50s kids with hippies and 80s rocker bitches.
The girls in 2020, they're so easy, but like in the 50s, you had to like work your ass off just to get a kiss or cop a feel. But like these 50s kids, like, you want to go to the dance, and this girl's like gobble 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 gobble.
It's kind of like the when Back to the Future came out, and like Marty met his mom, and then he almost fucked his own mother.
Yeah, I remember that.
So it's kind of like that. But I mean, if he chose to fuck her, because they all have their own social norms, and I guess there were whores back in the 50s.
Were there though? Were there? Or yeah, I guess.
There had to be. I mean, some of them, they were easy, but for the most part, I think they were a lot more reserved than now.
Correct.
It would be fun to mix them. It would be fun to see how like a greaser would, try to pick up a girl nowadays who's like playing on her fucking phone, taking selfies for her Snapchat.
Right, Snapchat and stuff. Like, how would a greaser be able to actually do that?
Yeah.
Like, don't their preferences change with the times? Like my mother-in-law, she liked guys that have lots of hair all over. She didn't mind all the hair. Right now, everyone is there can't be hair anywhere. Hair is gross to everyone our generation, right? Everything, manscaping, and even for guys, like back in the 50s, do you think any of the guys actually manscaped? They were probably guys that had fucking forest down there. It was the Appalachian Valley down there.
Imagine in gym class, like everyone's changing, or like back in the day when they used to like hit the showers after gym. One guy goes in there with just like a totally like just nothing, just baby cock.
And it's funny because now everyone used to hit the showers back in the day. Now I don't think they even do that anymore, right? You don't hit the showers.
Not. I mean, especially now.
That's kind of odd, though. So everyone just stinks after gym class now? I don't know. How does it even work?
we were in high school back in the mid to late 90s. Like, I never hit the showers after gym.
No, hell no. I never hit the showers.
I wouldn't even take my sweatpants off. I would just throw my jeans on over my sweatpants and go to class.
So now that, like, we've envisioned our school, what do you think about our spouses? Like, what's our responsibility to them?
I feel like I'm doing her a disservice. In my own situation, I think I take on a lot, maybe even more than I should. But I feel like that's also just based on personality.
Well, here's my thing. I don't negotiate with terrorists. I'm like the United States government, okay? I cannot and will not negotiate with terrorists. So basically, that's what I am. I'm like, all right, listen, you don't want to do anything that you're going to regret for a long period of time. What can I do to help you to make this go away? So every single time, I'm always going through my list. All right, what do I've got to do? I have my script. I've got my bulletproof vest on. I'm ready to run in there at any time. And I'm ready to make it happen. Listen, my responsibility, I feel, is I got to make sure that we're protected, we're financially sound. I don't know what beyond that. Am I supposed to be spouse of the year? I don't know. You try and understand what spouse of the year even means.
Obviously, there's that aspect to it. Being a good dad and a good husband is providing for your family. I look at it a lot on kind of like an emotional level. I don't feel like I'm fully satisfying my role unless I'm also mindful of their happiness. Does everybody feel good emotionally?
That's it. Hold on, it's the happiness. And I'm sorry, I got my pen.
That's a big one.
All right. This is where I'm.
Bringing home dinner to an unhappy family. Yeah. Cross off the and just try bringing home dinner to a happy family.
Yeah, but that's the problem. I don't subscribe to the happy wife, happy life thing.
No, and I'm not saying that. I disagree with that too. I think that both of you need to be happy.
Everyone needs to be happy. It's right. It's everyone's goal to be happy. It's a matter of reading what that is. And sometimes women don't make it as known. Whereas I think us guys, I'm pretty transparent in what my needs are. I'm not a suspense novel, okay? And I'm first page. You get in their first page, and I'm like, and we all died. And that's wow, this book is short. That's one of to say the least.
That's also one of the huge differences between men and women. And then there's different types of women. There's the women who will typically not tell you what's wrong, and then you spend your whole life trying to figure things out. And then there's the other women, who will just barge into the room and be like, we've got a lot of shit to do today. We're going to be busy.
Maybe I don't like either. Maybe I just like one that doesn't talk very much. Maybe that's my issue. I need someone that...
You need to marry like a Terry Schiavo.
That's a little... That was a very brainy... You get it? Very brainy. Sure.
She doesn't do much around the house, but,
Right. That's a negative. That's a big
That's negative. A negative. Yeah. A wife that doesn't clean, that's a negative.
Right. If you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. And that's what I always tell her.
Maybe that's what her husband said. He's like,
this is why my success rate has not been very high. Now, has that changed with COVID times? Because how has COVID changed the perspective of responsibility to everyone, including humanity?
There's definitely a responsibility that exists now that didn't exist before. Social distancing, masks.
Should it just be a level of respect just for each other that we're all going through this together right now? Why does a mask have to be a badge of don't tread on me? I don't think it's political at all. I don't know. I just don't see it. I just see it as basic science and basic human decency towards one another.
The media makes it as divisive as it is. I don't think it needs to be that way. I think everybody's level of comfort / responsibility is different. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Everybody's level of comfort is different. Everybody's level of responsibility remains the same.
Right. The responsibility remains the same. I don't know. Is everyone going to shake hands ever again? Are we going to hug each other ever again? Like when we see each other?
I've shaken hands with some people.
You have? I have not. I have
not
a
lot.
Anyone's hand.
If somebody puts their hand out, I won't reject it.
I jump kicked it away. I do almost like a double dragon.
Yeah, the Jean-Claude Van Damme spin kick.
I will spin kick that
blood sport, that shit.
That finger is getting cracked. I told you, my responsibility is I stay away from you, you stay away from me.
No more handshake deals. Spin kick deals.
I'll do roadhouse deals. Okay, I'll do roundhouse deals. I will. You have to ask yourself, what are you willing to do to eradicate this thing? And to me, what I've been doing is sitting in the house. If I stay away from people, I'm out of the equation. I'm no longer part of that equation of either getting someone sick or getting sick. And
how many people do you think that you've accidentally gotten sick? So let's say you ordered a package from Amazon thinking that you were being responsible, but now the person that shipped that product was sick and then handed it off to someone else who got sick, and then the UPS guy got sick. By the time it reached your door, the thing died, so you didn't even know about it.
More times than I'd like to admit or realize, obviously. Then what we'd have to do is everyone would have to be tracked. We'd have to heat map everybody and then make sure that...
Like the Chinese.
That's what we'd have to do. But none of us are willing to do that. And I mean, I don't know if I blame people either, because now what is the United States is supposed to be better than the land of the free, but it should be the land of the responsible too. So we can be land of the free.
If we fully give in to that, we would no longer be the land of the free.
That's right. That's why I can just see, why don't we have a new slogan for America then, and why don't we go land of the responsible?
Yeah, maybe like land of the culpable. Land of the answerable.
Land of the answerable? I don't know. Land of the trustworthy.
How about land of the conscientious?
I like that.
That, or maybe just land of the people who do the right thing.
Sounds like a mouthful. Well, listen, everyone. I mean, we're talking about responsibility. It's just, if you're ugly, wear a full face shield. That's the responsibility you should be providing.
Or just stay home. We should quarantine the ugly.
Right. If you're good looking, maybe just a mask.
Yeah, you get a pass.
Or just a mask. It covers what it needs to. Covers some holes, not all. So
all but the warm ones.
Oh, man. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for listening to another awesome episode of the Try Not to Laugh podcast. I am Brandon, and with me is...
I'm Andy.
See you
later.
And responsibility out.